Forget the ad read.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Game Time Live. We are coming to you on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. It is good to be alive, good to be well. We are about to get started here today. We've got a lot to talk about. I've got a lot I want to talk about, so should be a very good show. I am Isaiah Hoffman, along with my partner in crime, D. Cott, Daryl Cawthorn. Good to have him in the building. He's been holding down the fort, running, doing Cott's Corner, doing Bias with the Little Truth, doing, I'm doing the after hours stuff, so we're all putting in our fair share, but it's good that we are still coming together and doing the A show Game Time Live. I want to give a big thank you to NAIA Hoops Report for last week's really, really good episode. And going forward, any coach interviews we do with any NAIA head coach will also be featured on his platform on Instagram as well. So we are going to continue to grow the Game Time family, and hopefully, we don't need help growing NAIA Hoops Report. He just posted today 4 million views across all his videos in the last week. That is very impressive for him. I'm going to just start calling him NAIA Red Zone at this point. We also want to give a big thank you to our sponsors. Big thank you to Matt Gaddis of State Farm for supporting the Game Time Network. If you need any insurance help, make sure to contact Matt Gaddis. And another big thank you to Wired to the Nines for sponsoring the Game Time Network as well. If you need any low voltage help, make sure to contact Wired to the Nines at wiredtothenines@yahoo.com. And then last but not least, Bigsy's Sports Bar and Grill. We want to give a big thank you to Bigsy's for supporting the Game Time Network. And we should have an announcement about an event happening at Bigsy's that may feature us here in the next coming weeks. We're still putting it together, so we're not going to throw out a date, but at some point when we get to the warmer months, something will transpire for sure. And then we also have our anniversary episode coming up on Wednesday, April 1st. I'm going to just announce that right now. We will do a live show on Wednesday, April 1st to celebrate 1 year of the Game Time Network. And I'll say /podcast, just to show some love to when we were a podcast. But it's going to be a good episode today. You guys see the title of the video. Fans are fed up with Adam Silver. I am excited to talk about this. I know Daryl is ready to talk about this. But Daryl, before we get to that, is there anything you want to start us off with? Because it has been an eventful week in the world of sports. The USA just won gold in hockey for the first time since 1980. We have a women's ice figure skating skater that won the gold as well, so everyone's feeling a little American pride after picking up some gold medals. And obviously, like I said, college basketball is really starting to get into it. Duke getting that big win over Michigan. Where do you want to start?
Man, do we want to start alphabetically? I mean, it's so many things to hit on, right? We've been talking a lot about the NBA. And I think I'd like to maybe start with the NBA and get the not so fun stuff out of the way, because I think and then we'll go to college basketball and even the NASCAR. But I think that starting with the NBA to set the tone for what we've been doing, I think it'll be good. And, and obviously you just spoke to it, Adam Silver, and you and I had a conversation this week, and you said, man, it's getting really hard to defend what they're doing, man. And this is from a dude who lives and breathes NBA. We were in September. Yeah. Where college football is off and running, he's talking about, man, what's going to happen NBA-wise? What's going to happen is we're going to be the MVP. This is in September. So we're definitely on different ends of the sphere. But with that said, man, I want to hear your side and pivot off that, because, I hadn't seen you this frustrated or heard you that frustrated with the NBA, man, since we've been doing this.
Yeah, I think the last time I was this frustrated was probably around the finals, just because, the fouls and everything else. And look, I love the sport, right? Basketball is my favorite sport, regardless of, what football has going on. To me, a buzzer beater is going to be better than a game-winning touchdown. For me, it doesn't matter, even if it's my favorite football team at this point, a buzzer beater in basketball or a clutch shot, tween step back to win the game, it's just going to hit more different for me than a balls at the 10-yard line, they get it into the end zone. To me, I just the roar of the crowd, that the basketball, the ball going through the hoop, it's just more energetic for me. But no, I'm very disappointed. I think I'm going to pull it up right now. These aren't official yet, but reading Sham's tweet, multiple sources with knowledge of Thursday's GM meeting, as well as late January competition meeting told ESPN that the following concepts have been discussed to curb tanking. First round picks can be protected only top 4 or top 14 plus. Lottery odds freeze at the deadline or a later date, no longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years and or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. Teams can't pick top 4 the year after making the conference finals. I wonder who that's directed towards. Lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. Flatten odds for all lottery teams. So I want to start my opening monologue about these horrible, well, not all of them are horrible, right? There's a couple in here that I don't mind. There's some in here that are blatantly just flat out stupid. So I want to start with this. Before this came out, there was the talk about, what if we did a tournament? What player is going to play for somebody else to take his starting job, to take his spot on the bench, to take, just take his spot? Didn't make sense at all. So I'm glad that didn't happen. But some of these rules are directly targeted at teams. And one of these teams, it's a blatant call out. One of these rules is blatantly about the Indiana Pacers, right? And I'm going to pull it up again because everybody on Twitter said the same thing. Some people are like, 2 of these rules are directly towards the Pacers. Teams can't pick top 4 of the year after making the conference finals. So if these rules were intact, Indiana wouldn't even have a chance at the pick because they got to the conference finals and then Tyrese gets hurt in the finals. That doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense at all. My problem with this league right here and then is, my issue is the Jazz and the Pacers got fined for tanking. Are we not going to pay attention to the Sacramento Kings that just told 3 of their players, hey, go get season-ending surgery because we're 12-48 or something? But the Pacers and the Jazz are the ones. Pacers didn't even care. Props to the Pacers. They saw these rules and you said, you know what? We're going to sit Siakam. We're going to sit him. We're going to sit everybody. And then we're going to lose back-to-back games to the Wizards. And now we've got the second best odds. And you know what's still crazy is this is only going to get worse because I'm telling you right now, with the way things are trending and the way Adam Silver is acting about tanking all of a sudden, I know Daryl is fairly confident that the Pacers remain with the top 4 pick, but the way that the actions of the league are happening, it goes back to Cooper Flagg. It goes back to Wembanyama. The lottery is rigged to the finest. It doesn't, at this point, nobody can tell me otherwise. I mean, look at it. Lottery extended to include all play-in teams. He wants to give the Miami Heat a top player. That's what he wants. He wants to make sure all his big markets, Chicago, Miami, he's trying to get those teams back in the limelight. He doesn't care about Sacramento, Brooklyn. It must have been burning him alive that Indiana had this playoff run and knocked the New York Knicks out of the finals because, fun fact, New York is one of his favorite teams, not if his favorite team in the NBA. Just like David Stern's favorite team was the Los Angeles Lakers. But the Lakers, I wouldn't say have gotten any special treatment from Adam Silver in the last couple of years, other than the year in 2019 where they jumped up to number 4, so right outside of the Zion Williamson, John Morant, RJ Barrett 3 picks. Now, if they would have gotten to the top 3, there's a conversation, but there isn't because they traded the pick to the Pelicans to get Anthony Davis. But that kind of coincides, right? My whole point here is that these rules are blatantly horrible. Some of these rules aren't that bad. Lottery odds freezing at the deadline makes no sense because if you include play-in teams, you realize more teams are just going to attempt to tank, right? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you add the play-in teams? Because now there's going to be some teams that are in the play-in, Miami, that are just going to be like, well, we can tank now because the league's throwing us a bone. You're throwing these play-in teams a bone instead of them having to figure out, hey, how can we stop being mediocre? Tanking is just a part of the sport. The NFL just, the Browns suck, right? The Browns have always sucked. What does the league need to do? The league isn't like, oh, well, Cleveland's tanking. We need to do something about this. No, because they know Cleveland's a bad organization. Let the bad organizations be bad organizations, but don't try to manipulate to where teams that are middle of the pack or a bigger market and are middle of the pack, and you're trying to get them up in the lottery and shut down these middle pack teams. How do you expect anyone to get good if you're still trying to manipulate the lottery like you did for Dallas, like you did for San Antonio, and basically what you did for the Lakers in 2019 to acquire Anthony Davis? It's all manipulation. And I've been told, the lottery isn't rigged. The lottery isn't rigged. The lottery isn't rigged. When your favorite team drops down in the lottery this year, so some major market can go up, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. When the Miami Heat next year in the draft, if these rules apply, if the Miami Heat jump up next year, I don't know what to tell you. I truly don't know what to tell you. These are horrible rules. Adam Silver's got to go. Adam Silver has to go. David Stern had his whatnots and what so, but you under David Stern, under the Ewing lottery, because I went and did some research, not a lot of rigged lotteries. Some small market teams got number one picks, right? So to me, I mean, just what are we doing? What are we doing?
It started, Isaiah. And you make great points. It started though with the integrity of the league well before this. This was happening way back when Houston had the number one pick back to back when they got Akeem and Ralph Sampson. The talk was, hey, they're tanking. Houston tanked back then. And tanking isn't anything new. They tried to put these things in place with the lottery. Oh, this will fix it because now we've got a natural lottery and we don't know who's going to win. Other than the fact that the people who put the balls in the canister or put the envelopes in the canister, they know.
I'm sorry, right? Eli. It just came to mind. I apologize.
And so with that said, the challenge, for me in all of this NBA, like I've said before on this show platform, the NBA is turning into the WWE. All this pre-existing, to your point, setting these teams up to win who are big, larger markets and they'll want to be eyes on, right? i.e. Miami. Why would you include play-in teams in a lottery, which we've seen a play-in team always get to the finals, and just so happened that team was the Miami Heat. So you have so to that point, that's why I was sitting there listening. I'm like, man, he made a good point. Damn, that's another good one. Damn, that's another good point because it's ridiculous.
It makes no
All
sense.
you're doing is trying to quote unquote dissuade tanking. How about you do this, Mr. Crypt Keeper? How about you hold the players and the organization to the standard that are set in the rule book? And that goes from playing, that goes from tanking, that goes from flopping, that goes from disrespect of players. That means fighting, everything else. It starts all the way back there. So if this isn't going to fix the NBA, this is only going to manifest the problem that we already have. Why? Because you don't have the balls, Mr. Crypt Keeper, to hold those players accountable, those organizations accountable on a day-to-day basis. Not this, everybody's complaining. So let me make a comment about tanking. It doesn't matter what you say about tanking, Crypt Keeper, because this isn't going to help. And to your point, Isaiah, this is an absolute direct hit on the Pacers. They went from a conference finals run and finals run that no one thought they would have because the way they played well together. Then all of a sudden you have your best player gets hurt. Then you have multiple injuries, guys out all season long, and you're going to try to have the audacity to say, if you make the finals of the year, you know how teams change in a year? You want to talk about the Golden State Warriors of 2020, Mr. Commissioner? You want to talk about the San Antonio Spurs with the Tim Duncan deal, with the Wemby deal, with the David Robinson deal, Houston in 83 and 84 back-to-back with Akeem and Ralph. We can talk about this, Mr. Commissioner, but it's not just a 2026 problem. This is a problem that goes back into the 80s. So don't try it now because people are watching and we're calling you BS all day long and twice on, especially on Game Time Sunday.
And what makes me even more mad about all this, right, is you're going to flatten the odds even more. This is what started this problem in the first place. When you put the odds for the top three teams at 14%, you've made the lottery a crapshoot. We've got teams with 1.8% jumping up in the lottery to get the number one pick. It makes
How does that happen?
It makes absolutely no sense. All right, if a team a couple of years ago when it was the 25 and then when it was that system, if a team jumped up from 14 or 14 to 10 up to like 3, that's all. Well, they got a little lucky, but blatantly jumping them up to 1 after they trade their generational talent for an injury-prone Anthony Davis, you grant them the number 1 overall pick. You don't tell me there's no canoodling there. Are we serious? And I've got Tankathon pulled up here because you look at it, right? If we flatten these odds even more, what do you think teams are going to do? Say, well, the odds are flat now. Maybe we shouldn't tank. No, teams are just going to tank even more, especially if you include
it's going to be more teams doing it because they say I've got the same chance as a 10 seed as a 3 seed. They're like, hell, let me just now. All I need to do is be in the bottom 10. What are we thinking?
I don't understand the logic here. And Adam Silver, and I love how before they even had all these meetings, what does Adam Silver want to do, guys? Hey, Adam, these teams, the 7th and 8th seeds don't feel that deserve. Let's do a tournament. Oh, okay. Hey, Adam, ratings are down in November. Let's do a tournament. Hey, Adam, these teams, they keep tanking. Let's do a tournament. Oh, no tournament? All right, we'll have a meeting. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I like the in-season tournament. I like it. They actively are playing harder in that tournament because you know why? Money talks. That's great. The play-in tournament is stupid, right? I think the only reason I'm enjoying it a little bit here is because in the East, we're not getting the Chicago, Miami, Atlanta Invitational. Right? Chicago's not going to make it. It's going to be the Hornets, and I'm excited to watch the Hornets. My partner in crime isn't the biggest fan of the Hornets, but he can admit they're playing really well right now. Other than the fight with Detroit.
Not only they're playing well, they're surprising a whole lot of people, man. Them dudes, they're balling. I got to give it to them, man. I got to give it to them. I call it what it is.
And like, once again, I'm pulling up Tankathon because if you think Sacramento is really going to have the number 1 pick, you're crazy. I mean, the Pacers are actively are giving Adam Silver the middle finger by sitting their players and doing all this. So Indiana may not be in the good graces of Adam Silver at this point.
Hey, let's hit Sacramento again. You mentioned them earlier, and you came off of these fools said, hey, 3 of y'all go have surgeries.
Go get surgery. Go ahead and do this. Zach LaVine, Sabonis, but nope, we're not going to find them. We're not going to find them.
Kidding me? Hey, listen, they haven't been fine. Sacramento's been terrible for years. The lottery loves them, but yet no fine. Look at Brooklyn. Look what they're doing. They give away their best player.
Brooklyn. Look, the way he did Brooklyn last year, Brooklyn ain't gonna be up there. Atlanta, though, Atlanta's a prime. Atlanta and Washington and Utah. He saw those teams make moves. He may actively say, you know what? Here's a pick. But you know what? Here's the problem. You got Dallas, you got Chicago, you got San Antonio, you got the Thunder again. The Pacers are in jeopardy with the Clippers pick. Those are all those are all markets right there that he's licking his chops about.
Isaiah, I've said this on this show many times that the NBA owes the Pacers, but I'm really not worrying. I'm starting to change a little bit because this is the Clippers' opportunity to replenish big market. You got LA, the money deal. I still say the Pacers are going to get 1 through 4. I was 100% up until yesterday. I'm 98.6 right now. I'm 98 because I'm telling you, as I look at this and how it shakes out, and
I'm at about 60%.
And here's why: the way the Pacers stuck their middle finger up over the week, I like that. Listen, I love that, but man, is that going to cost you? Yep. I'm just now. It's got me thinking. The saving grace though out of this, though, Isaiah, everybody's back next year. The Pacers are still a finals team next year.
Yeah.
Everybody, that's the only saving grace because they've got that young and that good of a team, right? But it would sure be nice to have pick 1 through 4 to go with that group and to grow.
And I know Adam Silver. I mean, man, like just so blatant. Teams can't pick top 4 of the year after making the conference final. Are you serious? You know who this is? This is directed at one organization. Nobody else.
Which means we're fixing 5 through 14. Remember, we're fixing 5 through 14 is what he's saying.
And you know what? There was a report that came out. You know who the biggest contributor to all these rules were? Take one guess. Take one guess, Daryl. Take one guess.
Are we talking franchise or
yes, general manager franchise? Take one guess.
Man, that's hard because I want to be mad at the Knicks.
It's not hard. It's not hard. It's one organization.
I want to be, but then I'm a pivot and say Miami.
Exactly. Pat Riley
wants serious?
Yes, Pat Riley wants these rules because he's a loser. Pat Riley is the Jerry Jones of this league. He can't acquire big name superstars. I talked about this when we went back to the offseason. And they didn't get Kevin Durant because he didn't want to give up Tyler Herro. He didn't want to give up Jaime Jaquez. He didn't want to give up Haywood Smith, or whatever his name was. You're keeping these mediocre second options because you don't want to blow up your whole team. You didn't want to give up your whole roster for Giannis Antetokounmpo. So of course you want the NBA to buy you out or help you out, and so you don't have to give up this roster. Just it's frustrating. It's absolutely frustrating because tanking is a part of sports, right? There's just no point in being mediocre, right? Why be mediocre when you can just tank and get better? Now, there are rules that I do agree with, right? No longer allowing a team to pick top 4 in consecutive years or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. Yes, that is a good rule. I like that because teams like Brooklyn, team like Sacramento, teams like New Orleans, they're going to be here year over year. They're not going to get any better, I promise you. So if those teams are here 3 years from now and this rule's applied, love it. Beautiful. Because they don't deserve any more top picks if they're going to continue to be garbage year over year. And I can tell you right now, none of those teams are going to be successful in the next 5 years. Maybe New Orleans, right? We can have a conversation about Washington maybe being back here in a couple of years if this whole Trae Young, Anthony Davis thing doesn't work out. But I like that rule. I do think that's not a bad rule for the league because that's a good way to stop tanking with that rule. I think the other way to stop.
Well, you want to try. You want to do what you can to try it to stop it. But again, to your point, these teams are going to be manipulative and they're going to work the angles, i.e., the injury angle, right? The rest angle, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. But I want to pivot. Brandon makes a point, right, about the Pacers in next season. And one of the things I've been talking about and pining, I don't remember anybody dying on the heel of Ben Mathurin other than me because he's my roulette buddy. Now all of a sudden, I'm hearing people from every state in the union and every sport saying, "Oh man, what a major mess up that the Pacers made." I don't agree with that. I didn't agree with that then. I don't agree with it now. Ben Mathurin wasn't going to resign with the Pacers because of his contract requirements. I get that. I respect that. Love Ben to death. But with that said, he's going to flourish in LA. Ben is a hell of a player. He's a scorer. He's a very good player. Good dude, good locker room guy, all of that. Did things in the community. But at some point, everybody can't stay, right? And again, I hope Ben Mathurin flourishes in LA. I hope he does great. I hope he signs that 4-year deal plus $100 million that he wants, and he goes on to have a great career. But I understand also, too, that we can't have them all.
Nope.
We can't have them all. And like I say, I'm still 98.6% sure that the Pacers will get 1 through 4. So that'll be an opportunity. But here's the deal. You still got to get the right guy. Yeah. Look at Jaden Ivey for Detroit, 5th player pick. He came and get off the bench for the Bulls. So just because you're in that area doesn't mean it's a lock.
Yeah.
I like my man. I like what's going on in the Pacers front office. And I like, what they're trying to do long term by locking guys up. The center position is locked up for the next 3 years. And there's going to be opportunity for other guys to step up. And we'll see. Those young guys have got a lot of playing time this year. And I think it's an opportunity that's going to show and reflect come November.
Yeah.
Jarris Walker has flourished, and he made the Pacers' decision a little easier to let go of Ben this season as opposed to waiting till the summer. Jarris Walker has stepped up. He's gotten more minutes, and he's that guy that's going to be coming off the bench, helping out with that scoring deal because he's 6'8". He can shoot. He can put the ball on the deck. And on top of that, he's having the nerve to rebound better now.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with where the Pacers are. I've been their biggest complainer from probably 2015 to 2021 or so.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say, man, I like what they're doing. And after we get the top 4 pick this year, it'll be either AJ or my guy Caleb Wilson. We'll just keep on rolling. That's my thought on that for sure.
And I got one more thing to add. Flattening the lottery odds does not make this problem better. You need to rise the odds. You need to make these top 3 picks the most valuable asset that a team could ever acquire. You're making this available. It doesn't make any sense. And like I said, I put it on my Twitter and I said it to Daryl. You started off the show by mentioning it. How can I defend this league when we're making stupid decision after stupid decision, right? I mean, the product is already viewed as soft, weak. The product is viewed as not interesting to watch. It feels like defense is basically non-existent, right? There's harder defense in NBA 2K than there is out there on the court sometimes, right?
But also that's because the rules are that way too. You really can't play the ball like you could. People, you're right. They can't play the defense like they used to. But also too, guys are really not interested in fighting. They do it. They say, "Oh, that was a business decision." This ain't football. No one's gonna go out there to hurt you. There's nothing wrong with getting dunked on. Go out there and try to block a dunk. But guys will stand back. They'll stand back and say, "Oh, no, I'm good."
I don't know how long Adam Silver has left, but there's got to be better changes than this, man. I mean, tournaments and all this other yeehaw stuff is just not going to fix the league. What's going to fix the league is the same thing that we didn't have the show then, but it's the same thing that is talked about in wrestling. It's talked about in any other. Wrestling's the best example, right? WWE was hot over the course of the last 2.5 years. And now they're struggling to sell WrestleMania tickets. You know why? Because it's not that they're not running tournaments. It's not that they're doing all this extra stuff. It's because when people watch the product, they say, this isn't good. I'm not watching this. That's the problem with the NBA. Yeah, you're going to still sell your tickets because people are just basketball fans. At the end of the day, people prefer the NBA game more than they prefer the college game. And it's also vice versa in the other way. People are still going to buy tickets and watch the NBA unless the team is not good. I get it. But the reason that the NFL is just so head and high above everybody else is because the product at the end of the day doesn't feel touched. It doesn't feel manipulated other than the officials. But, we can talk about that at another point. The product still is pretty much pure for the most part. I think people would like less commercials, but, that's a problem with everything right now. The NBA feels manipulated. It feels touched. It just doesn't feel pure. Right? Doesn't feel pure at all right now. I wasn't around in the 2000s, but even then, the NBA in the 2000s was still viewed very positively about, right? I think up until we got really, to me, I even think the 2010s wasn't bad until we got to about 2018, right? 2018, from the 2017 to the 2018 season, not only because KD was on the Warriors and it felt like the season was already predetermined, but because of James Harden getting all these fouls at the three-point line, Steph getting all these fouls. I was on record in the summer saying we just had the best playoffs we've had in maybe, probably since the 3-1 comeback, right? That's just genuinely how I feel. And then we get to this season and it feels like a complete 180. We went from the best playoffs in years to just what the hell are we doing to make the league better? I'm not saying you got to catch up to the NBA, but for goodness sakes, what? Congratulations, your all-star numbers were up. I don't care about the all-star game. I want the product to be better.
Listen, the all-star game numbers were up out here, and that's fine. I didn't watch one single second.
And to counteract that,
3 games, the skills challenge, and a lot of other things. It's a gimmick. This isn't the circus, okay?
And you were also on NBC, which everybody in America just gets that on their TV. There's a difference. On TNT, you got to pay for it. NBC, you just get the channel. It comes with the basic cable package. So of course you're going to get more viewers.
Let him roll, Brandon. Let him roll. Keep on rolling, baby. Keep on. This is what we do, right?
I'm just, it's hard for me to defend the league and then we're coming up with stupid rules like these. And some of them, one of these rules is a direct call out on one organization and nobody else.
And I respect you saying that because your first love is not the Pacers. Your first love are the Lakers, right? So with that said, I like your take even better because of that. But I don't want to belabor that point because I've bashed the NBA and people say, well, God, how can you bash the NBA? And this is year 15 as a season ticket. I can bash what the hell I want because it's my pocket. But
just because the WWE is a bad product right now, it doesn't mean I'm not watching it still.
Hey, but but real quick blurb on WWE also because of their ticket pricing, man. Everything is skyrocketing wise, and people are saying, "Listen, I at some point I can't do it."
Ridiculous.
That you know what? That could be another show for us. I want to hit on that because things have changed in the WWE world for sure.
Yeah, well, we can definitely hit on that. I know we got some other stuff we want to talk about, but man, I was going to make a video on this, And then I was like, you know what? I got to cover the race at Atlanta tonight for after hours. So I was like, I'll just do that. And I'll come on here. And I'm just, it's ridiculous. I'm really bothered by it. It's insane what we're trying to do to combat tanking when, especially just out of all the years, we're going to make this year the year where we're going to complain about it. No, tanking's our huge concern now.
Hey, you sound like me last week when I was on Bias with a little bit of truth. Hey, man, we get passionate about this thing. Remember, this is raw and uncut. This isn't some scripted, hey, at minute, 22-minute mark, you're going to say this. And no, this is raw and uncut, man. And I love it. But, we could hit this point all day long because there's a lot to unpack. But also, we would be doing our listeners and viewers a disservice if we didn't cut into college basketball yesterday and what went on yesterday. And I think I've got some things I want to start off with. I don't want to start off with the biggest game. I want to start off with Nick Cronin and the UCLA Bruins coming back after being 23 points down and beating the Fighting Illini in Westwood. They were home. Fair enough. Listen to this, man. Nick Cronin is the Mike Leach of college basketball. Those of you all that don't know who Mike Leach was, he passed away a couple years ago. He was a coach at Texas Tech. He was a coach at Mississippi State. And I think it says, Texas, Mississippi State, and probably other places as well. Yeah. Nick Cronin has taken on the mantle of that. He has take after take. He gets in arguments with reporters. He ejected his player out of the game last week for a flagrant foul that he had to apologize about the next day because he realized what he had did and kind of embarrassed the player. So Nick Cronin coached his ASS off yesterday. There's never been a question about Nick Cronin being a good coach. He just gets a little squirky, squirrely at times. And he's done that, right? But he coached his butt off yesterday on a comeback win. They're 18-9. Solid bubble team now. They weren't even looking before that. Big win against a top 10 team. I think Illinois is still in the top 10. Man, that was a big win for Nick Cronin and the team. I'm not sure if you saw any of that game. I did, and they put things to work yesterday. I was really proud of the way they played.
I think another team that I noticed, and they're being talked about, Cincinnati, 4 wins in a row, knocking off Kansas. That's another team that I don't know if we'll make the tournament, but just something to look at. That was there was a clip going around where he was talking to the fans, and he was like, I'm just as frustrated as you guys. And then after that, they rip off 4 wins in a row. So. Props to Cincinnati on that. I did watch a little bit of the St. John's game before I went to work. St. John's, I'm really excited about what the tournament is going to be because I think there's so many contending teams. Michigan was number 1. At one point it was Arizona, but I know obviously they lost and that's why they dropped. Duke feels like the favorite, man. And, I'm not trying to spin us back to the NBA, but I think for me, that Cam Boozer stock is starting to rise a little bit once again, where I think me and you were a little flat on him. Man, he's really showing me something though. I can't deny it.
For me, Cam Boozer's still in the same spot though, right? I looked at the entire game yesterday. Michigan had a good game plan in the first half. I think Boozer only took 10 or 11 shots throughout the whole game. Right? Now, mind you, I think he hit 6 or 7 of those, right? And a couple of them were threes. His impact was being not a decoy, but being a guy that Michigan paid a lot of attention to.
Yes.
Michigan in the first half was undisciplined. They were handsy. They got themselves in foul trouble. They were whining to the refs, and they made a couple of boneheaded plays in the first half. The biggest one was fouling with less than a second to go at the end of the first half and giving Duke two free throws at the end to put Duke up by 2. It was a tie game, and Michigan was looking for the last shot, and I don't know why the guard fouled with less than a second to go. It would have been a Hail Mary from 90 feet, right?
Yeah.
But he fouled. They were in the penalty because they were so handsy early on. Mm-hmm. In contrast, I'll give Michigan coaches credit this way. Second half, with less than 5 minutes to go in the second half, Michigan only had 4 fouls. He adjusted. They weren't as handsy, But the problem for Michigan was those two guards of theirs. Again, I've said it. Guard play is the key. And I made myself a note. I want to make sure I got it because I want to make sure I got his name right. The kid from Michigan, the guard named Cadeau, he was 1 for 8 from the field, missed an open layup with about 2 minutes to go in the game that would have brought them within 2 points. His partner was also bad. Combined, they were one of 11 from the field. And one of the announcers said, well, he's got 6 assists. Well, hell, if he's not scoring, he's not playing defense, and he's out of the game. Well, I hope he's doing something. So from my take, I like Michigan in their size. I like their athleticism. I like that big guy they got in the middle, the really, really big guy. He was handsy at first. I think this loss is going to be better for Michigan than a win would have. I like their talent. I like their depth. I like the big guy. What's his name? Ludenberg. Really good. They kept panning to his mom in the stands yesterday. He's projected, and I don't like projections. That's your opinion. He's projected in that 12 to 16 range, and he had range. He's athletic, and the guy played about 38 minutes yesterday, man. Yeah. He played pretty much the whole game. He wasn't one of those ones getting in foul trouble, making dumb plays. Really, really proud of the way he played. But again, I just think Michigan wasn't prepared for the talent that Duke had. Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten, and Duke is the best team that they played all year.
Yeah.
And I think it showed in the first half. It was close the whole game. Don't get me wrong. But that's why I say, yes, it was a neutral court. But I believe that loss is going to be better for Michigan in 3 weeks than a win would have been, in my humble opinion.
There's a lot to be excited about, and I'm really excited to get to March because I think right now in my mind, just watching games and watching highlights, because, Saturdays are hard for me to watch just because I'm at work, but I keep it on the side, and I'll watch a little bit, right? And I bounce back and forth between games. I think right now, as we get closer and closer to March, we'll obviously do a bracketology episode, and I think that'll be fun. But you really can't predict this thing. But right now, if I list off 5 teams that I really like, and this isn't given the top 5, right? This is just 5 teams that I like. I like Arizona still, regardless of the Texas Tech loss. I do like Texas Tech. I like Louisville. Louisville really has impressed me all year long, even though they're ranked number 21. I still really, really like Louisville. I'm not going to say St. John's, but I am going to say Arkansas. If it were up to me, Darius Acuff is the 5th best guy in this draft. I know Flemings from Houston is the projected 5th guy, but for me, it's Acuff. I really like Acuff. He's just a bucket getter, and I it's the same reason why I like Anthony Edwards so much. I just love a bucket getter, right? When it's crunch time, we're gonna live and die by me. I've never, same reason why, Luka annoys me, but I like Luka. When it's time to go get a bucket, and it's time, if we're going to lose, the media is going to talk about me. If we're going to win, the media is going to talk about me. So right. I like Acuff Jr. He's a bucket getter, man.
Hey, you dead on. It's so funny. I took a clip last night and reposted another clip about my man crush on him. He didn't have the best shooting night against Missouri yesterday. Yeah. They really they double tried to trap him and give him some different looks. He was 4-11 from the field, but he was 11-13 from the line.
What? And
that dude, regardless, when the game is in doubt, every player on that floor looks to him.
Does it feel like, because I'm a college basketball guy, but I think I'm not the biggest one. But it does feel like in a sense, Calipari has kind of refreshed his career a little bit by making this move. Feel like Chris Jericho, he reinvented himself a little bit by making this move to Arkansas, because it was getting stale at Kentucky. You could see it, and I feel like moving to Arkansas, it's kind of Big
Blue Nation wasn't happy. Big Blue Nation wasn't happy, and then sometimes it's good. I've left places. I was doing well at a place, and I left there, and I recharged my batteries. And that's important, right? And to the point about the Arkansas game yesterday, Arkansas team, that team has continued to get better and better and better. Their identity is clear. That's the other challenge a lot of these other teams have. They don't know what their identity is. Arkansas has an identity. It's Acuff Jr. and also Billy Richmond. He's number 24 for Arkansas. Long athletic. He wears a T-shirt. and this dude can jump out the gym. I was doing some work on him yesterday. He reminds me, in his comp is Stacey Augmon. And Stacey Augmon was small forward for UNLV, running Rebels. Him and Larry Johnson were running the show back in the late 80s, early 90s, right?
I do know Larry
Stacey Augmon had a long career for Atlanta Hawks. They called him Plastic Man because he was just so long arms and great defensive. Billy Richmond reminds me a little bit of Stacey Augmon, but he's more athletically gifted. This dude, I bet you he's got a 48-inch vertical. I bet you he could go on the top of the backboard. You put 4 quarters up there, and he'll grab that off there and put $1 up there. This dude is a freak, and he's getting better. This is the second year in the program for him. I don't know that he'll go to the league this year. I don't know he'll make himself eligible. But if he comes back next year and continues to work on his game, in my view, he's a potential lottery pick for next year. Because of how he's grown and what Cal does to these players.
Yeah.
He makes them feel like they are NBA ready and you can do this.
Yep.
So I'll be paying close attention to him over the spring and see eligible, will he commit or whatever like that. So I know we got others to hit on, but I want to hit on that Arkansas deal because to your point, Acuff, man, that dude.
I like him. Do you still like? How much do you like BYU?
I like him a lot more after last night's game against Iowa State. But check this out. Iowa State is the same team to beat Houston on Wednesday.
Yeah.
The Big 12
and then Houston loses to Arizona in Arizona.
Right. But it was a tight game.
I still like Arizona overall team-wise. I think they're still the best team in college basketball.
Absolutely. I think Arizona is the cream of the top of the Big 12. I'll give it the top 12, the Big 12.
I'm talking about the country.
Well, definitely in the Big 12. But what I saw yesterday in Duke and Michigan, it wasn't the best game played. I'm not going to. It was a barn burner.
So you like Duke's team just as much as Arizona?
Like that Duke and Michigan thing, man. But again, like I said, I think Michigan's going to be better because of what happened yesterday.
I haven't watched a lot of Michigan, so that's why I didn't. So if you're saying you like Michigan, I'll go.
I just believe that, right? Because again, size and athleticism. But if Michigan's guards don't come to play, Arizona's going to thump them because Arizona's got that point guard. He is who does he remind me of? It'll come to mind when I think about it. He is a guy that's not going to score a lot of points, but he gave Fleming's hell on earth yesterday.
Yeah.
Fleming was 7-17. He was jacking up shots. He wasn't in the game. I think he had 10 points, and it was about 8 minutes ago in the second half. He made his day hell because he covered him. He chased him down. He fought over screens, and Fleming's got frustrated. Now, mind you, Fleming's a freshman, and he wants to prove himself, and he's fast. But Arizona's guard, I can't remember his name, gave him everything he wanted yesterday, and absolutely without a doubt, Fleming's a hell of a player. It's going to be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But there's no way that young man down in Arkansas is going to be picked after Fleming's. Acuff, I think he is a solid, depending on what teams want, right? Of course, I think he's a solid 5-6 guy right now. He was around 10. We talked about a couple of weeks ago. He was 11, 12 or something like that, and that's why I don't like these mocks. Now all of a sudden, people, wait, maybe let's pay attention to him now.
Yep.
And he's been that dude all year, man. He's been that dude all year. So I think Acuff over Fleming because you know why? He's got better range.
Yeah. Big games this week. Nothing today. Tomorrow, though, you've got number 21 Louisville against North Carolina, Houston versus Kansas, another Big 12 matchup. Looking at another one, you've got St. John's and
you didn't say Houston versus Kansas, right?
I did. Yeah. Houston versus Kansas is tomorrow. You got Louisville and UNC tomorrow. Nothing on Tuesday. I mean, you've got Duke in action, Arizona and BYU, and St. Louis in action, all ranked teams. Iowa State, but they're not playing anyone ranked. Big game on Wednesday, though. You've got number 17 St. John's against number 5 UConn. Chance for maybe an upset there. I really like St. John's. Then Thursday, I know Brandon, we'll see what happens. Number 7 Purdue versus number 15 Michigan State. So some interesting games throughout the week of college basketball. And then on Saturday, you got Texas Tech against Iowa State. You got Arizona and Kansas on that Saturday as well. Florida and Arkansas. So it's going to be an interesting last couple weeks in college basketball, and then obviously we've got the we got the conference tournaments, which are going to be fun to watch. I'm excited. I'm not the biggest college basketball guy, but I do like to sit down and enjoy it and watch it. So I'm excited. It's going to be a good tournament, and I wouldn't count Florida out still. I wouldn't count them out.
They got big men that are skilled, right? Yeah. But I want to go to Kansas because I've been on this Kansas talk conversation. This is 5 weeks now, right? And we talked about Darren having cramps and all these things like that. Bill Self had an interview. They interviewed Bill Self, and he looked frustrated. He looked like he's ready to throw his hands up and say, "I'm done with this." I was talking to my boy Corey, and I didn't realize Darren was an Adidas kid, and he felt that I guess he was compelled to go to Kansas because Kansas is an Adidas school as well. The talk is that wasn't his first choice, right? That he wanted to go. He could go wherever he wanted to, but that wasn't his first choice. I guess money made it work or whatever the case may be. But what's happening now is they lost that game yesterday. I mean, Saturday. Yeah, yesterday. He was 7-17 from the field, right? He looked as disinterested as a superstar potential number one player could ever look. I didn't see him smiling. I didn't see him frowning. I don't even know if he broke a sweat, man. He's that good, right? But when they kept panning to Bill Self, to him, to Bill Self. And I said this, let that man sit. Put him on the bench and say, look, man, Darren, we know what's going on. It's a money thing. I get it. You got your NIL money. The players around him are looking frustrated. Badungo, their big man, their center, he's the only player for Kansas that came to play yesterday for the full 40 minutes.
He's from Indiana, right?
Yeah. He's 18 and 12, man. Killer. I mean, just straight killer. And I would just say if I'm talking to Bill Self, and I know he watches the show because everybody does, Bill, have a conversation with Darren. So listen, you're going to get your money, but the distraction isn't working for us. I got players, I got a coach, I got to help them get better. I respect what you're doing, what you've done for me, and you're going to be a great player in the NBA. I'm going to make an excuse that you're going to be out because of a quad strain for the rest of the year, whatever the case may be. I'll put it all on me. You sit to the side and keep on moving. That's what I would tell Bill to tell Darren because it's not working, man. It's not. Cincinnati is a 15-win team, 15 wins, 15 and 12, by the way. And for them to go in to Kansas and thump them like they did without being pinched. Now, mind you, they shot the hell out of the ball yesterday. They shot the ball really well, right? And they gave them confidence. But there's no way in any world where Kansas should lose at home with the talented players that they've got against a Cincinnati team that's 15 and 12 on the road.
Yeah.
So my take is, Darren, I love what you're doing, man. You're going to be a top 5 pick. You just wouldn't be my top 1 if I were picking, if I had the number 1 pick. So going into the sunset and do your thing, Darren. But we've got things to do here at Kansas. That's what I was saying.
He hasn't been my number 1 pick all year. I've been saying DeBonsa for a while now, right? I'm kind of starting to treat Darren Peterson like you were treating AJ Brown. I don't care to talk about him. If you don't want to play, don't play. I don't care. There's other teams out there that I'll watch. There's other players out there that I'll watch, right? I'll watch Caleb Wilson. I'll watch AJ DeBonsa. I'll watch guys that want to play. If you don't want to play, that's fine. I hope you end up in Sacramento. I hope you end up in Brooklyn,
I'd rather wind up in Sacramento. That's remember I talked earlier in the season about Atlanta's the place where careers go to die. Atlanta, New Jersey, Sacramento. Those are 3 places that careers go to die.
And you know what? I think we'll find out. We'll find out a lot of this when the draft comes around, and it's teams. Is Peterson going to slip down the board because teams are concerned with his health? What are teams going to find out in the process?
I don't think it's health. I don't think it's health at all.
Yeah. So what are teams going to find out? Right. I don't think it'll be an Ace Bailey situation. I think the Kansas thing could be spot on. And I think when we get to the draft and stuff starts to get developed and everything else, we're going to really find out, is he just not healthy? Or is it he didn't like Kansas and he's fine wherever he goes?
I think he likes Kansas. I just think it's a money thing, man. I don't think it's nothing to do with playing. I just think it's a money thing, and his handlers, maybe his parents or whomever, are saying, "Look, man, don't kill yourself for these guys." That's why you see a guy play. He plays great in the first half, then tells coach, "I'm not playing the second half." That's not injury. That's I showed the league what I can do against AJ DeBonza, right? Remember?
Yeah.
I showed the league, and he sat out the second half. I don't think it has anything to him not liking Kansas. He loves himself, to his credit. You haven't seen him act out, act foolish, say things in the media and the press.
No.
Now, someone's, maybe giving him not the best information regarding, playing and not playing, but he's not adding on to it by making dumb statements. So I give him credit for where credit is due.
I like DeBonza the most. I think if you want, I think a team like Sacramento, like Brooklyn, they need Peterson because I think he can be a number one option right now, right? I think DeBonza, and I love him. But I think for a team like
you got a man crush on him, like I have.
I think
and Caleb Wilson.
I think a team like the Pacers, the Hawks, the Wizards, the Jazz, hell, even Dallas, right? Those are teams that need DeBonza because he can come in and the pressure's not all on him. He can be the second guy. He still needs to develop his shot, for me, in my opinion. But he can come in, play in a system, get his touches. Where Peterson, I think if you put him in Sacramento, you put him in Brooklyn, hell, maybe even if you put him in Washington or Utah, he's going to go out and he's going to get you buckets, right?
Yeah.
And those teams need that. You got to find a guy, right? And none of those teams have a guy yet. Washington kind of has a guy, right, with Sarr, but we'll find out next year more or less. But so if I'm the Pacers or if I'm Dallas or if I'm any of these teams that you already got your guy, I think you go with DeBonza. If you don't have a guy, I think you go with Wilson, maybe Boozer. But Boozer and DeBonza feel like the same to me. Boozer and DeBonza, I'm not saying they can't be number one options. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we've got a lot of teams in here that are trying to make a jump and just need a co-star or another guy. And I think Boozer and DeBonza fit that better than a Peterson or a Wilson would, because I think both of those guys, more or less DeBonza or more or less Peterson, can go in and be an impact number one guy for you for the next couple of years. So I'm really curious to see how it go. I hope one of these guys that we're talking about can make a run in the tournament. I think all these guys have the teams capable of making a run in the tournament, because that's what I've been talking about, right? Is, these guys that are high up in the draft, they're not getting to the national championship. I want to see that. I want to see that happen, and I get, a lot of these guys are one and done, so it's very rare now, but all these guys have the teams around them to get there. But then you got teams like Texas Tech, like Florida, like Nebraska, like Michigan. There's
Arkansas coming on.
There's just teams out there where we're not talking about their star players, and they're more of a team, and it's just things are going to shake out. And you got teams that are also St. Louis is ranked. They may make some noise, right? We've been talking about how NIL has made this where there's not going to be any Cinderella stories. Miami of Ohio. We've got a lot of teams good.
I was just going to say, let's make sure we do not let this show go without speaking about Miami, Ohio. Undefeated still. Now, I guess the line where they are is, I think it was a 5 or 6 seed. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know Brandon Reef would know if he's still watching. That team has just gone and played, man. They beat everybody that's in front of them. I think they've got a veteran presence, and that's the type of team that can be dangerous. Sort of like the Wichita State team some years ago, and had all those veteran players that went to the final eight, if I remember right. So this season, this college basketball season is shaped up. I would say this. I think there's probably 15 teams that could probably win it. Maybe more. Because it's just a night, like Reef said, Cincinnati knocked off Iowa State. Iowa State's, what they've done of recent, and then you got Texas Tech. Now, the problem with Texas Tech, 11 seed. That's ridiculous. 11 seed for Miami, Ohio. I was thinking 5 or 6. That's ridiculous. Texas Tech lost, though, Toppin to an ACL. So how is that going to play out? He was their leading scorer and very athletic. Not Obi's brother, but very athletic and can play. So I think that's going to affect Texas Tech. And do they have a pivot off of that?
Yeah.
And I don't know if they do or not.
College basketball is going to get real good as we get closer to March. As we start to wind down here with the end of the show, Daryl, let's
go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, it's only right that we bring up the gold medal winners from early this morning, man. Shout out to the men's hockey team. Well, I mean, shout out to the women's hockey team too. First time in Olympic history, Team USA has won the gold medal in both men's and women hockey. And the best part about it, Daryl, we beat the team that owns the sport. We beat Canada. So now, hey, I am proud
to announce. I am proud
to announce here on the show that hockey is officially the sport of the U.S.
That's right. You tell them.
Announce it. Yeah.
You tell them. That's right.
I may watch Miracle today. The movie. I may watch that today. Just
I watched it live in living color, and I'm gonna tell you this a little bit
about that. I watched
it.
The first time I watched it was I think in school. They showed it.
I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about
the game. Yeah, well, I watched the movie. I didn't see the game.
It was a galvanizing time for the Winter Olympics. I watched more hockey at that time than I probably have the rest of my life. And I followed all those players, Mike Eruzione, Jim Craig, their coach in their NHL lives, because I was like, man, those guys are the best hockey players ever. They're going to be great in the NHL. And it didn't pan out that way necessarily, but they had a lot of really good players, and they had a great run, man. And that's important, man. That's a big thing, man. Big thing. So shout out to the USA hockey team, USA Olympics, and in the wintertime, it's a great distraction from a lot of the crap that's going on. So yeah, so good deal. USA Hockey. I know Reef was in the chat. I think Reef got this morning about 4 a.m. Checking things out. Him and JB putting it in the chat group. But that's what it's about, man. It's enjoyment, and the gold is where it belongs. Right in the USA for sure.
Yes, and then obviously we won in ice figure skating as well. I don't remember her name, but man, I watched her. I watched one of her performances. I don't know, I didn't watch, but man,
Mary Lou Redden.
Yeah, I don't know her name, but
I'm kidding. That was back in the 80s,
man. She killed it. So props to her getting a gold medal. First time we've won a gold medal in that competition, and I don't remember when. I think it was the 80s as well. So props to her also. Daryl, was there anything you wanted to hit on? I know I'll obviously preview NASCAR a little bit before we get off, but
I want to hit a little bit more basketball. I got to shout out to my guys, Scott Moore.
There you go.
Dr. Jones and Mark Hester. My 3 guys, Grace College, North Dakota State, and IU East Indy Red Wolves. I'm no particular order. I'll go with my guy, Scott Moore, who's my relative, my uncle from another mother, or I'm his uncle, maybe. I'm a little older than him. They're 25-3. The tournament is going to be starting, I think, next week. I told him
conference tournament.
Conference tournament. I told him, I said, give me an excuse to be in Kansas City in the spring. He says, I'll do my best. That's all I wanted from Scott, right? That was great. The Grace Lancers are still awesome. 25-3. Hit a couple of road speed bumps a latter part of the year. Teams are gearing up for them. When you got that much talent and everybody talks about you, it's going to happen for sure. Then my guy Josh Jones, Warren Central grad, Warren Central legend. That team started off, I want to say 3-3 or 4-3 or something like that. They're now 23-6. They've got 2 games left. They're going to win the conference. Their conference is the regular season conference in the Summit Conference. 23-6. Good luck to Josh Jones and those guys as they continue to go on the rest of the season. 2 games left. Knock those teams out. St. Thomas, and I think they've got North Dakota on Saturday. Win those games for us, Josh. Make the Dub C proud of the East Side proud. And then my guy Mark Hester did not have the season he anticipated late in the summer when we talked to him. Fair enough, but Mark Hester has been a good partner. He is a disciplinarian. That dude's old school. I love him. He played a lot of young guys this year. Yeah. With the NIL world and guys changing their minds, I'm hoping that those young guys hang in there, because you're with the right coach. He's going to develop you, and he's going to give you the right mindset to play well. And I'm looking forward to what Mark and the team are going to be able to do next year. I pinged him a little earlier, man. It's a good dude, and he's going to be my sounding board during this Pacer run, right? Of futility. Probably the pinnacle will be May 10th when the lottery is announced, and then after that's announced that we're going to get the number one pick, we may have to invite Mark downtown or wherever the Pacers draft party is going to be, so he can hang out with us, right?
Yeah.
So I want to shout out to my three guys. Good luck in the future endeavors, obviously for Grace and North Dakota State. Again, Mark, you'll bounce back because that's what you do. You bounce back. So I wanted to make sure I shared that.
Now, awesome. Looking at today's NASCAR race, Atlanta Motor Speedway. Atlanta's not the same Atlanta that it once was. It's now kind of a super speedway instead of a normal intermediate. Brandon said he's got two names for today, Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney. I personally like Blaney. I like Blaney as well. I like Kyle Busch. He got the win yesterday in the truck race. Carson Hocevar was right behind him. Hocevar almost won the Daytona 500. I was hoping he'd win the Daytona 500. He's gotten so close to getting a win in the Cup Series. He just hasn't gotten it yet. It's going to be interesting, right? Because like I said on After Hours, the point standings aren't going to shake out for a minute. It's going to take a couple races, right? We've got, we had Daytona last week, which is, going to shake things up. I like, Atlanta's another super speedway. There's going to be more crashes at this race as well. And then after that, you got COTA, which is a road course, Circuit of the Americas. And then you get to your first oval of the season, which I think is Las Vegas. I don't remember. So we're not going to see the standings shake out for a couple more weeks until we get to the ovals. Obviously, NASCAR's added more road courses to the schedule, and I love that. I don't like that we start off with two super speedway races, but it's fine. Let's get them out of the way now. Because the super speedway racing to me is not.
You want to go big time later in the season. You want to hit the big boy. I got you.
I think for me, we'll see how this all shakes out. It feels like, and I've been watching so much NASCAR content because there is a feeling of rejuvenation in the sport, getting away from the gimmicks, right? We just talked about it with the NBA.
Yeah.
When you make the product look good, Chris Buescher's another good name. When you make the product look good and you make all these changes, it does feel like what I talked about. I made a bold claim on here that I think the Daytona 500 will be more viewed will have a better TV rating than the Indy 500. I do truly think that because one, Daytona, it didn't get rained out like it has the last 2 years. It started at 1:30, which fans have been pushing for a while to go back to around a 1 o'clock time slot. And the race was really good. And you got a winner. I mean, that race couldn't have gone any better for NASCAR. Michael Jordan's team wins the Daytona 500 after beating NASCAR in the courtroom a couple of months ago to basically change the landscape of the sport.
You tell me it's not. So you mean tell me NASCAR didn't rig it then? Clearly, right?
The sport couldn't have been in a better place. I mean, the Daytona 500 winner Tyler Reddick was on Good Morning America. He did an interview with Stephen A. Smith. He was on this show. He was on this show. And obviously they're talking a lot about Michael Jordan, but that's fine. The publicity that the sport got this week was great. And then you watch the Atlanta race yesterday. Kyle Busch gets a big win. The Xfinity Series race ends in somebody basically drifting back onto the track. He doesn't win the race, but he basically saved himself. I'm going to have to show you I'll pull up the finish here in a second. But I mean, it was a heck of a save. And then, I really am excited about the Cup Series season this year because
listen, I'm gonna tell you this.
The format, I mean, I just can't wait to get to the chase. I want to get to the final 10 races now.
I gotta say this. Someone mentioned me. They said I always put my hands up like my hands look big. They're decent big. So yeah, those are my hands. But one of the things I'm gonna say to you is this, right? We was talking last year, we were talking, oval racing and NASCAR and all that. Whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, man. Us in the chat talking about 3 wide and talk. I've been watching a little bit more highlights. I'm not turning the channel when I see it. Yeah. Sat down. I didn't watch all of Daytona. I had some stuff I was doing. But I'm gonna tell you, man. I've been watching a little bit more, getting involved and getting these names down, Pat. I'm a big fan of the Michael Jordan experience because he's bringing people that look like me into a sport that didn't have a lot of people that look like me.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. It's inclusive. This is Cancun. This isn't exclusive. This is inclusive. All these things, NASCAR, NBA, college football, college basketball, all that. It's inclusive.
I look at NASCAR like MLB. I was watching before the season had started. I was watching, I think, the 2006 Daytona 500 in the living room. And Xavier, my brother, who plays baseball, he asked me. He was like, "Why do you watch this?" He's like, "It's just cars going in circles." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, good point. I'm like, I'll put it like this, right? You play baseball, right? I don't personally. I'm not a fan. I'm not the biggest fan of baseball, but if you know the sport, it's more interesting, correct? That's why you like baseball. He said, yeah. I'm like, that's the same reason I like NASCAR. If you know the sport, it's more interesting. I think NASCAR, baseball, hockey, or you can say it all in three different ways, right? If you know the sport, it's way more interesting. If you don't know the sport, baseball at face value is somebody throwing a ball and you're just trying to hit it. Hockey is you're on skates and you're just trying to put a puck in the net. NASCAR is just cars going in circles, which isn't really the case no more. They run road courses, and now they're doing they're one of the races this year, Daryl, is they're going to go to the San Diego Naval Base, and they're going to race. They're going to do a course around the San Diego Naval Base. I think when they get to the Amazon stretch of their schedule.
Is that because of Formula One though? Is that because of the Formula One piece?
Since 2021, NASCAR has what they do is they've changed the schedule throughout the years. What they do is they try these new races out, but they sign the deals for short-term deals, right? So a couple of years ago, you know how we talked about the Clash that they did before Daytona? They actually did it for 2 years. What they did is they went to the LA Coliseum, and they built a short track inside the Coliseum, and they did a race in the Coliseum. They did it for 2 years, and then they noticed the crowd were dying off. So then they go to North Carolina, where they did the Clash this year, who are hardcore racing fans. So they went from casual to their core audience,
their base, right?
And then a couple of years ago, for about 3 years, they did a Chicago street race, which, yes, F1 has been doing street races for years, and they're getting more popular in America, so that was a bit to combat that. But they're doing a lot of different things, adding more road courses to the schedule. Like you just said, last year they went to Mexico, and they did the F1 circuit in Mexico. Now they're doing the San Diego course, and a lot of those changes were made because they really wanted to get into streaming, and so the way the schedule works, they do, I think, 13 races on Fox, then they do 5 races on Amazon, and Amazon wanted the Mexico race last year, and then Amazon also helped them get the San Diego race, and then they do 5 races on TNT, and then the final stretch of the season's on NBC. And I just, what the sport has done in the last couple of years to make changes and to make the sport better, and then getting rid of this ridiculous playoff system and going back to, it's still not a full season points format, but 26 races, the top 16 in points, we're going to reset it for the final 10 races. Whoever has the most points after 10 races win the championship. Man, count me in, because that's the system I grew up on. That's the system that got this man right here 5 championships in a row. My personal GOAT, Jimmy Johnson, even though, if somebody told me Dale Earnhardt's the greatest of all time, I'm not going to combat that, right? I love Dale Earnhardt, even though I didn't grow up watching him.
I'll take Tony Stewart.
I respect him and Richard Petty. Tony Stewart's a great pick.
I'll take my homeboy. Tony Stewart.
There you go.
You're talking about NASCAR and Indy. I mean, that dude, talk about versatile. He made some bad decisions and some things, but Tony Stewart, man, that was always my guy. And no, I wasn't a Jeff Gordon guy. It was definitely Tony Stewart. I like the guy that's on the edge. Yeah,
I've always been a Jimmy Johnson guy, for sure. I'm excited about the season. It'll continue to ramp up as we keep going. Daryl, you got any questions? Shoot me a text. I got no problem. I've been watching the sport since I was.
I'm always text you anyway, so you're gonna get them anyway. I gotta say this. I'm not gonna say what brand this is, but go ahead, do your thing real quick.
I was just gonna say Atlanta today is gonna be a really interesting race, because what they did was they took a track that was an intermediate, and now it's kind of Daytona-esque. I would say the racing is going to be better this week than it was last week at Daytona.
Well, if I wasn't going to be spending time in the world's greatest stadium today, watching my Pacers in Dallas, I might, have an opportunity to take a look-see. But we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
But something just hit me. That's 3 things I got to hit real quick. One is, instead of me mocking about the kennel, we got to find the hook. Who let the dogs out? That's one. We gotta get the who let the dogs out. I gotta get that. A brief clip when we hear the dogs. 2, mushroom coffee is real. It's real, and it doesn't taste as bad as people tell you. I've been on it for the last 5 days. Not bad. Okay, this is a little bit more serious tone here, right? One of the things that's happened over the weekend is, many saw the report about Rondale Moore. Mental health matters. Mental health is important. In today's climate of social media, fat shaming, color shaming, and all these things like this, many people don't have an avenue or feel like they have an avenue to speak on how they really feel, especially men. Men ages 10 to 34, the second largest cause of death is suicide, because we're supposed to suck it up. We're supposed to deal with it. And I'm sharing this because Rondale Moore was an absolute heck of an athlete, Purdue University, NFL second round pick. And you would think this guy has the world at his hands. He's young, he's handsome, he's in great shape. And at 25 years old, supposedly, he ended his life. And that's a shame, because when something like that happens, that means you feel like you don't have anywhere to turn. You don't have an avenue, and you don't have anyone to speak to. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because this past week, this name won't be familiar to anybody. Clarence Tate Jr. You are like, who's that? It's my wife's nephew. He took his life this week on Wednesday. Fatal gunshot to the head, because he didn't feel like he could go anywhere. He was a military veteran, came home to Mississippi, and just had challenges, right? Hearing sounds, hearing voices, hearing things, right? Odd behaviors. That young man was 26 years old. His mom is devastated. His dad, my brother-in-law, devastated. And all I'm saying that to share that it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to say you're not okay and to speak to someone. 988 is a real number. When you have some challenges in your life and you're feeling, call 988. They've got professionals there that can help you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that can potentially take you off of that ledge and get your life back in order to ensure you don't put your family in a position where they're having a lot of tears and a lot of sadness. And what got me going with this was in 2021. I had an employee took his life, Adam Louie. It was in May of 2021. I was the last person he talked to at our job. I was his director at the time, and it still pains me to this day. I've stayed in contact with his mother, and God bless her. She's been very supportive, and that's why I speak about mental health matters, because it's happened to me personally. Now it's happening in my family, and people need to speak on those things and talk about it. And it's okay to say, man, I didn't know that. And it's okay to reach out to someone who's a friend of yours and that you may not even agree with on a lot of takes. But it's okay speaking out to someone and say, hey, help me out here. I'm challenged. And so just wanted to just share that, my 2 cents there. Rest Rondale, rest CJ, and rest Adam, because there's a lot of people out there like that feel like they've got nowhere to go. So I just wanted to make sure I shared that, because this is our platform. This is our forum, and no one's paying me to say this because it's happened in my real life. So I wanted to make sure I shared. You mute it.
There we go.
There you go.
I haven't had anyone personal, to where that's happened, but I know the effects of it, and I've had people around me that have dealt with that and everything else, and yeah, for sure, and we talked about it a little bit. There's, I think, especially in sports, and I think, it was talked about on Twitter. I'm not no speculation, but Rondale Moore had back-to-back ACL surgeries, and it's hard to come back from and everything else. So it's just, I can only imagine what the mental state could have been, because you're trying to come back. And I know one of his teammates, Hollywood Brown, kind of spoke about, how he was just texting him that day. So it really, if you need help, make sure to contact someone. You're never really alone. Like Daryl said, the 988 number is definitely something you definitely got to contact for sure. If you need that help. Daryl, I don't want to end us on a sour note, right? Or on a sad note. Let me not say sour note, on a sad note. So I want to lift up our spirits a little bit. I want to show you this ending to the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race from yesterday. I want to show you this save. Obviously, we're not going to turn the volume on,
Oh, that's my guy, Lightning McQueen, man.
Well, I'm going to show you the clip here in a second. But Hey, that's the best Pixar movie of all time.
Oh man, heck yeah!
Here's the finish though. Look at this. Gets spinned out. Look at that save. Look at that. He doesn't win the race, but look at that save. And then the guy that actually won his first career win of his career, and he's been in the sport for a couple of years. But wow. Man, what a save that was. I wish we had full but yeah, look at that.
That's driving, man. That's driving.
Look at that save. That is
hey,
awesome.
People knock them saying racing is boring. I promise you, that's a 1%er right there. 1% of the people that could get that recovery. The rest of us are going into the infield and doing flips.
I mean, it was a heck of a save. It was a heck. And I'm not gonna play the commentary on here, but man, beautiful call, beautiful commentary call. It was a great call.
Nice gift.
That was a good save, though, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was incredible.
Very good save.
But
hey,
what a show!
I want to also kind of pan out for the week, right? So it's gonna be a little light this week, folks. I've got obviously my Pacers tonight, Tuesday, and Thursday. I'll be at the Pacer games. We're going to try to fit in Cott's Corner somewhere. We're going to try to fit in a bias with a little truth somewhere.
I'll be doing it after hours tonight. We're covering the Atlanta race. It'll be late at night at some point, but it will go up, and I'll be covering the Atlanta race from today for sure.
Well, we're all good. It's been a great week. Oh, by the way, I love the feedback I'm getting about bias with a little bit of truth. Yes, I don't like Reggie, but I kind of stuck with him after all these years. So, but no, we appreciate the support. We're growing, supporting him. He's supporting us. He's driving down. As a matter of fact, speaking of Carolina, he's driving down south today to spend some time with Robert, as a great dad he is, and his wife. So drive safe, Reggie. Come back safe, and hopefully I'll see you Tuesday night at the game, if not Thursday night for sure. But definitely appreciate that for sure. And he's been a good friend and a good partner in trying to boost things for us as a whole, for sure.
No, for sure. Love the show. I think it was a great addition to the network. I've got no complaints. It's been one heck of a show so far. I think you guys are going to continue to rock and roll. I think once we get to college football season, that'll be.
He's such a hater, man. He is so biased. We should have changed the name to Bias Only, because but you know what? People are enjoying it, man.
People like it, man. The show's working, and I think we've got a good formula here going, folks. So if you like the show, make sure to subscribe. We're 15 away from 300. We are at 285 subscribers. So make sure to keep supporting the channel. That's going to do it for us, folks. After hours coming up later tonight. We'll have Cott's Corner and Bias with a little truth sometime this week. And then, of course, you'll see you right here next Sunday for another episode of Game Time Live. So you guys then, we'll see you guys